Now we're going to add an input element that is of type number. So we're going to add this right here above the checkbox. So in the code, that's in that first field set, and it's right above the checkbox. We are going to put this in a form row div, so you can go ahead and copy that and get that set up. And then inside here, we're going to put an input and a label. So the input is going to follow the pattern that we've been using so far. It's going to have a name, and we'll set the name equal to dine out. It's going to have an ID, and we're going to set that equal to dine spin. And it's going to have a type, and this is the one that's going to be different. The type is number. And if we go look at this, we can see how that looks different. So we refresh, and there we have it. There's the spinner. There's the input box, and it's a text box, right? And you can put things in here, and then it has this spinner, which are the arrows. And what it does is it increments up or down when you click on it. So that's the spinner part. It's still a text box, so you can still put a value in there, but then you can change it using the spinner if you want. So we've added that. Let's go ahead and put a label. So the label, we know we want the 4 to match the ID, which is the dine spin. And then we'll go ahead and add it. And this is a question. How many times do you dine out per month? Okay, and there's the label for that. And then we have the input element. Now that didn't change anything, except, well, it did. Look, it gave us the label and this input element. Now the input element is a different width, and that has to do with style that's already been added. And that's in the rbform.css. And if you go and look for spinner styles, right there, it sets it to 50 pixels. Okay, now we can add different values. So we can set it to the initial value. And what this does is this says, okay, go ahead and start it at a certain value. So we can say, ooh, start it at 3. And then what happens is when that page loads, that's the initial value that starts. So we can put that anywhere. And we actually want it to be at 1. Now, we can limit the numbers that are allowed. For this one, notice that we can go negative, we can go up, and we can go down. We can even get negative, which doesn't make sense for the answer to this question. It looks like we need a question mark. Let's add that. But it doesn't make sense to go below 0. So we can use the min attribute to say the minimum is 0. And I'm going to save this. And now my editor, because I got past that 80 character limit, put all of the attributes on each individual line. So now, as soon as I put the minimum, I specified the smallest number it can go. I can also put a maximum, and we're going to do that with 20. So we set the min and the maximum. And if we refresh, then we get that initial value. And when we go down, it stops at 0. That's the min. When we go up, it stops at 20. That's the max. Now this is a text input, which means you can still type a value in here. But if you use the spinner at all, then it drops it right back within that range that we've specified. The other thing that we can add is the step attribute. And the step attribute says every time you click it, how much do you increment it by or decrement it? And so we could put a 4 there. And if we put a 4 and refresh, then it goes up by 4 each time. So there you see it going up in increments of 4. And it also goes down in increments of 4 within that range that we've set. But we really want to give them every option, so we'll simply do a 1. So that allows it to be step by 1. And there, if we go look at that, we've got an input element of type number. It creates a spinner. We've set the minimum to be 0. We set the initial value to 1. You saw that. We set the minimum value to be 0. The step by 1, it's incrementing or decrementing by 1 each time. and the max at 20. So it gives us lots of control on those numbers.